Hey, on this episode of Gun Talk Hunt, we've got the man who started it all, Tom Gresham, right here.
Hey, I'm KJ, dedicated lifelong hunter here. If you got an interest in all things hunting, you're in the right spot. Whether chasing quail across the plains of Oklahoma or in pursuit of elk in the backcountry of British Columbia, you'll always find me on the hunt.
All right, welcome in all you Gun Talk Hunters. I'm your host, KJ, and today we have a special guest, Mr. Tom Gresham.
Is that short bus special?
No, that's not special. Okay. That's like big time special.
Just saying.
That is funny, though.
I was wandering around, and the door was open. See what happened? If you leave the door open, you never know what's going to walk through.
You don't know what's going to walk through, but we're glad you did, for sure. This episode is brought to you by Ruger, Range Ready Studios, Silencer Central, Savage, RCBS, Smith & Wesson, and Hodgdon Powders. You know, we were talking about reloading earlier, so we really were.
Because when we're not doing this, we're actually doing this, just not in front of a camera.
I know.
Because we talk about the exact same things.
Well, we were sitting in the office, and it's just a conversation just erupts, and you were talking about 338.
Oh, the 338.6. Yeah, that was kind of fun. Because I bought one that I didn't plan to buy, which that has actually happened to me several times.
Why? Why do we do this to ourselves?
Never ask why. It was a new rifle and it was available and I thought it was cool. And I actually bought it. It's a super lightweight rifle, ultralight arms. And my plan was to rebore it or rebarrel it.
Okay.
Right? So, okay. Well, it's basically a 30-06 length. And I was actually thinking I would go to 35 Whelen.
Okay.
Because that's easy. You could just rebore it, rechamber it, good to go. And then I got it in. I started looking it up and went, hey, that's a pretty cool cartridge. 338.6. Just take a 30.6, neck it up to.
So, I love it because as far as a hunting round, you're talking about what, 180 grain projectile?
180, 85. You can start at 160, but you can also go up to 275.
Good night.
Or even 300 if you want to go crazy. So, but the interesting thing I was telling you is when you neck up a cartridge, you're able to get more velocity out of the same weight bullet. So out of 180 grain bullet out of 30-06, 2,800 feet per second, kind of ballpark. But out of this cartridge, 180, 85 grain bullet, you can get it to 3,000.
Good night.
So
that's a big projectile traveling very fast.
It is. And then you do the 225, you can get 26 to 27 out of a 225 grain bullet. Okay, the Nosler Accubon 225 grain bullet has a BC of 550.
Really?
I know it's not a lot for the kind of long-range stuff.
The long-range stuff.
But for hunting, that's not bad.
For hunting, it's really good.
Especially if we're going to swat something inside of 400 yards, it doesn't really matter.
And 24-inch barrel?
24-inch barrel, rifle weighs, with scope, 6 pounds, 4 ounces.
Good night.
People say, wow, it must kick. Yes. Physics is still there, right?
Well, that was another conversation we were having the other day is that the race, it's almost like a race to the bottom. Like, how light can you go? And ultralight arms, really, they were on the cutting edge.
Like 40 years ago, Melvin Forbes created this super light rifle. He says, but we're going to make them shoot. Because everybody could make a light rifle, but back then you couldn't make them shoot. They were really not very accurate. Well, he said, no, we'll full-length bed it.
Okay.
We'll use a super, super stiff stock, although it's super lightweight, very aerospace kind of a deal. He says, well, the stock is actually stiffer than the barrel.
Really?
Oh, yeah, it is. So these things really do shoot. All the ones I've had, and now I'm on a kick of finding, of course, it's like the Holy Grail, because I got to find a left-handed.
Right.
Because there aren't that many to start. I think he only made 7,000 in the whole time he was doing it.
In left-handed?
No, 7,000 total.
Total?
And of those, maybe 5 or 10% are left-handed.
Oh.
So you really got to poke around and find them. So when they pop up, it's like,
buy.
I'll do that.
Add to cart.
Yeah, I'll do that. Auction. Okay, we'll try that. It's like, I wish they'd never invented Gunbroker.
I know.
Swear.
You know, the bad thing is about it, it was on Gunbroker, and Ryan's doing the same thing because he's shopping for left-handed. So you guys are probably bidding against each other.
Yeah, we're bidding each other up. This is smart, right?
You need to call him first and go, hey, Ryan, stop bidding.
That's right. Is this you? I actually had a guy call the show. And he said, oh, I got Tiger McKee's revolvers, the ones they call the twins.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, I know you did. He said, what? said, that was me you were bidding against.
Oh, really?
No.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I said, well, I just ran it up a little bit. We had to make a little money for his widow. So
Oh,
we
my
took care of
gosh.
Gretchen's. He says, okay, well, I don't mind that.
I
That was
tell
fun.
you, boy. You start talking about gun training and the great trainers of our day. Tiger McKee was one of them. Just phenomenal man, and trainer. But we talk about training and applying it to our hunting because you are doing more hunting. I mean, you've been doing a ton
I'm
of it.
doing more
here
now
lately.
than I've ever done.
Right.
But I moved up to Idaho where I could walk out the back door and there we did.
Yeah, you had turkeys in the yard the other day.
Got
and-
turkeys, got a fox, got mountain lion, wolf, elk, deer, bear, and that's just around the house.
That's just around the house. Yeah. Your marksmanship skills have to be on.
Kind of, sort of, yeah. But, I'm working on it and had a good hunt this year. Got my mule deer at 400-yard shot. Again, goofy rifle, shooting a .284 Winchester.
Really?
Which was kind of the original fat cartridge, short fat cartridge.
Yeah.
Came out in '63. It was really funny because it was popular, kind of. Melvin Forbes really kept it alive. And then the 6.5 284 came along.
Yep.
Right, for competition.
Uh-huh.
And people said, this thing shoots great. And it did. And but it kind of burned up barrels.
Yeah,
I said, well,
it'll
what
do
if-
that.
What if we necked up the 6.5 284 to 7 millimeter? Thus making it the parent cartridge, the 284
Yep.
again. And then they went out and won world championships with it.
Right.
And then, of course, in typical fashion, like what you do with your long range, they're shooting 180, 190 grain
Yeah.
burgers out of this thing and cranking them out there. But it's a great little cartridge, and it's not pushing hard. 140 grain bullet at 3,000. You can kill everything with it.
Yeah, you can. Well, we talked, and so 400 yards.
Mm-hmm.
You hit it. Did it start rolling down the hill?
Oh, yeah, because everywhere we hunt is vertical. It's like, and so you shoot him and going, oh, good, he's getting closer. Because he just keeps rolling.
He's rolling down.
'Cause, ooh.
But that goes to show you, because I hunt relatively flat ground, and even me, 400 yards is it's starting to push the max of what I want to do. And we have this debate all the time whether, would you take a 500 or a 600 yard shot? And we always talk about this long range, limbo, whether you would or you wouldn't. And I think those lines have to be very much carved into concrete or steel.
Except, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit, okay? I think you need kind of a wide, fuzzy line.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you what happened this time.
Okay.
We're up there with my buddy Mike, and we see this deer. And going, oh, man. And I've got my laser finding binocular, range finder, and I'm pop. I mean, it was 400 on the nose. And I'm looking at him and says, man, that's way out there. It says 400. He said, well, you can shoot that. I said, I don't think so. I said, well, let me look at him through the scope. Right?
That's how it ends.
Right? And you go, okay, we stack 2 packs up.
Yeah.
And I'm laying down on the ground, and I've got rifle over, and I'm cranked up to the max.
Yeah.
Because he's not going anywhere. He's just feeding.
Okay.
I'm looking at him going, yeah, I could do this. I mean, but I wanted to see what the crosshairs looked like on him. If they're wobbling off the animal, no shoot.
Yep.
If they're wobbling inside of the animal,
That's a shoot.
you can take that shot. But where I'm saying is with this wide fuzzy line, I don't think you know until you get to that situation. You go, how steady is my rest?
Mm-hmm.
How am I feeling today? How does it look through the scope? And you may get to some place and you go, man, I got this. It's 600 yards. I know what this rifle does.
Yeah.
I am rock solid. And another time you're going, I'm having to flop over the top of a sagebrush. This is not going to work today.
Well, and that's. I guess I should add a caveat because you are 100% correct. You tend to do that. You tend to have a good thought process of
old
your
guys
shooting
know
practice.
things. Just
Oh,
to
I
tell
know.
you, I am the OG of here.
You are 100% the OG. But that line is for me goes. I like your idea of a wide fuzzy line for prone. There's a wide fuzzy line for kneeling. There's a wide fuzzy line.
It's getting closer and closer as you as you don't have a rest. And offhand,
oh god,
much closer,
much closer, and especially, I mean, and I think size of deer has to play a role in that. Mm-hmm. Like how there's so many factors in whether or not to take a shot.
Yeah, are you rested? Did you just have to huff up a hill? All that kind of
right.
stuff.
Like how much time do you have? Because this year on my deer, I had 0 time. I had a trigger cam on my gun, on my scope, that I could have filmed the shot. It would have been beautiful. I did not have time to hold down for 3 seconds to engage the trigger
could either
cam.
Get the deer or you could get the video.
Right. And I would have just got him blazing by because he was moving.
Right.
And that shot was 150 yards. He was walking, and it almost played out exactly like a stage of like an NRL hunter or a PRS match on a moving target, because I knew he was moving, he was walking, but I knew my hold. And he walked right into it, split the heart in half, and he was done.
Talk about how your competition shooting gives you confidence when you're hunting. Because confidence is really important.
For me, it's really, really important. And it's interesting that you say that, because I used to be the guy who said, okay, a better trigger will make me shoot better. A better scope will make me shoot better. A lighter gun will make me shoot better. Or all these factors that I used to take for granted rather than just getting training.
Getting better.
Yeah. And that's where competition kind of steps it up a little bit. Mm-hmm. Because once that beep goes off, you have a clear objective. Okay. And when that deer steps into view, you have a clear objective. Now your time, it'll decrease or increase, depending on circumstances. But you're shooting under pressure. Shoot under pressure.
All right. You also are shooting at varying distances, so that when you get out into the field to hunt, you're going, I've done this. I recognize this. I know what's going on there. And I will tell you, the confidence of that, there have been times when I just look and go, I'm going to make this shot.
Yes.
It's not like I'm going to take this shot and hope I hit. So I'm already dressing him out.
Well,
in my head, he's done for.
Yeah. Well, that happened to me last year, and it got me in trouble.
We can get a little cocky on this.
We can get cocky.
Yeah.
But when you approach a shot, my belief now is every shot I take, I have that level of confidence. To switch that mindset from, okay, I think I can make this shot, to I know I can make this shot. That's where competition really helps, is when you go, I've seen this sight picture before, and especially on follow-up shots, like, in PRS or NRL hunter, you have consecutive shots. So that's training immediately, re-engage the bolt, find your target. And it's the same thing in the field. Exact same thing in the field.
It's, on the other hand, the conversation we were having in the other room, is I'm also convinced that most people, most shooters, most hunters, fixate and worry about the wrong things. And I don't care if you're talking about defensive or target shooting or hunting. And look, the internet is a wonderful thing, except it's a terrible thing, because you get into these conversations about bullet weights and ballistic coefficients and all this stuff.
Right.
Go, yeah, but can you shoot? I mean, really? Right?
Yes.
You give Doug Koenig the nastiest old rusty rifle, and he will still outshoot all of us.
Yes.
Because he can shoot.
Yeah.
Right? It just doesn't matter. I mean, a guy told me a story. He was out at the Raton, Queenston Center, 1,000-yard steel, and Doug is shooting 1,000-yard steel offhand.
See, there's levels to this, folks.
There are levels beyond the levels.
There is.
It's kind of like when we hunt in the mountains. You say there's always a ridge beyond the ridge.
That's what gets you in trouble when you start hiking.
It's for sure.
We're going to jump in here with a quick break from our sponsors, but when we come back, we're going to continue talking about pressing that trigger on a big hunt. Unmatched precision with the Ruger American Gen 2. In the heart of the wilderness, precision matters. Ruger introduces the American Gen 2 rifle. Designed for hunters who demand excellence, the Ruger American Gen 2 offers enhanced accuracy, smooth bolt action, and durable design. It's the perfect companion for any hunting expedition, providing reliable performance every time you pull the trigger. Trust the Ruger American Gen 2 to deliver when it counts. Visit Ruger.com to learn more and find your next hunting rifle. It's time to prepare for the shot of a lifetime. Whether you're a seasoned hunter or new to the sport, preparation is key. I preach it all the time. At Range Ready Studios, we offer the training you need to make that shot of a lifetime. Chris Serino is on staff, and he has a host of instructors on hand to provide personalized trainings in state-of-the-art facilities and practical exercises that build your confidence and skills. From precision marksmanship to quick target acquisition, we've got you covered. Don't leave your success to chance. Visit rangereadystudios.com to learn more. When precision meets innovation, you get the Franchi Momentum, a rifle built for those who demand more from their hunt. Designed for ultimate comfort with its ergonomic stock, precision barrel, and crisp trigger pull, the Franchi Momentum gives you the confidence to take that perfect shot. Hunt with momentum, the Franchi Momentum, a new force and precision. Find yours at FranchiUSA.com. CZUSA.com is where you're going to find the CZ 600 series rifles. They've got an American version, Alpha version, the Lux, the Range, and the Trail. Now, let's look a little bit more into the Trail, because the Trail is like that lightweight that just, it just screams backcountry rifle. But it is a new standard in CZ 600. It's got features like AR magazine compatibility and 223 Remington, and uses CZ Bren 2 magazines in 7.62 by 39. In addition to a common magazine trend, the Trail delivers ambidextrous mag release and safety levers that will feel familiar to those who use the AR platform. And we all know that is one of the key guns out there that everybody uses and everybody knows. So why not match what you're using in the field to what you're already familiar with? Check out the CZ600 series Trail at CZUSA.com. For the reloader who demands precision, there's only one name: the RCBS Rock Chucker. Built with heavy-duty cast iron frame, the Rock Chucker delivers smooth, reliable reloading for every shot, every time. Whether you're crafting for competition or fine-tuning for the hunt, trust the press that delivers precision. RCBS Rock Chucker, because perfection isn't just a goal, it's a process. Get yours at rcbs.com and reload with confidence. In 1854, Smith & Wesson launched a lever gun. That was the volcanic lever action, all right? Very nice gun. I'm sure it was acclaimed back in the day. But times have changed. I'm telling you right now, times have changed, and Smith & Wesson jumped back into the lever gun market with their Model 1854. Now you can get it in a traditional walnut stock, or if you're a more tactical age and you don't want to look like your granddad out there hunting, you can go with a little more tactical version. It's got M-lock. But let's talk about some of the finer details of the Model 1854. I like to start with the trigger, man, because behind every great gun is a great trigger. And the 1854 absolutely just knocked it out of the park with their flat-face trigger. I really like that. And then on the safety aspect of things, you look at the magazine tube. It's removable. So there's no like dumping the gun out and everything like that. You can actually remove the magazine tube, and it just makes sense. It just makes sense to me that that's the way it probably should have been designed in the first place. But it's got a threaded barrel. It accepts mounts compatible with Marlin 1894 hole patterns. Again, a walnut stock or a black synthetic stock with textured grip panels, where you need it most, which is, I love that. Excess sights ghost ring rear sight, which is top notch. But anyway, man, if you really want to stand out, either in the field or at the range, check out the 1854 series from Smith & Wesson, smith-wesson.com. Let's talk about powder. Hodgdon.com. That's where you find a lot of your powder needs. Let's talk more about Winchester Sta-Ball Match. This temperature-insensitive double base ball powder is stable in extreme hot or cold conditions. So to me, what that means is if I'm reloading in the hot temperatures of Louisiana. Man, when I take off to Oklahoma and the temperatures absolutely tank, I can count on that ammunition. I can count on that powder to be stable. And, typical of a ball powder, precise metering contributes to consistent velocity and pressure with lower standard deviations, ingredients that are paramount to match grade accuracy. Now, you're looking at, with stay ball match, what you're looking at is 223 Remington, 224 Valkyrie, 22-250, 308 Winchester, and 30-06. And a couple more that if you want to test it out. So find out more about Winchester Stay Ball Match at hodgdon.com/Winchester. All right, we're back with Tom Gresham, really originator of gun talk. I mean, when you talk about it, you can't talk about gun talk without talking about you and Grits. And, what kind of shot was Grits? I want to know that. Because you see all these old gun riders, and you just go, man, I bet they were good on a gun.
Some were not.
Right.
Dad was a particularly good shot, but he was a particularly good athlete.
Okay.
Lettered in basketball, baseball, football. In baseball, he was batting about .550. His dad was a professional baseball player. And so my dad grew up playing baseball like, think Bull Durham. Like that.
Okay,
and those kind of leagues. So when he was in high school, he was playing against guys who were playing semi-pro or pro ball. He said he would come off of that and go play high school ball or even college ball. He says it looked like they were throwing cantaloupes out there.
No kidding.
So he had great hand-eye coordination. He was very good. Didn't actually know it until after he died, but actually he was signed by the Chicago Cubs.
No kidding.
Yeah, never played for him, but that was coming out of World War II. He had kids. There was no money there. But where I'm going with this is he was a really good shot. He was an incredible wing shot.
Oh, really? The hand-eye coordination, I could see
he
that.
Would
but
not shoot a clay target for a year and go out and beat the guys who shot weekly all the time, always.
No kidding.
Oh, yeah. Just amazing. And little tip, one of the things he taught me that I would watch him is he'd hold his gun, and then before he would call for the bird on the forearm, he's working his fingers a little bit like this.
Okay.
Loose grip, not a death grip. Because if you have a death grip, you lock everything up here.
Everything.
You can't swing freely.
Okay.
You'd have a kind of a nice little loose grip, just nice swing, nice follow through, going, okay.
That's something else.
Yeah, just these little tips. These little, it's like hanging around Chris Sereno here.
Oh, yeah.
And I am
All
here.
the time.
One of the reasons I'm here is I'm going to take the diagnostic pistol instructor class this week.
Oh, my gosh.
Chris, because I want to come down because Chris is the bomb when it
He
comes to
is.
this stuff. But he thinks about things like that. He does the things that you and I don't think about, he thinks about all the time. It's like he was showing us how to switch from one target to another.
Mm-hmm.
And he's saying, don't swing your pistol over to the target. I said, what do you mean? He said, and you try this even with a finger. You have two things. You go from a light switch to a light switch with your finger. If you swing it across, you'll always go past
it.
Right?
Yep.
He says, but if you look first and then swing across, you go right to it and stop.
Every time.
How would you know that unless you've gone out there and tried it and practiced it all the time?
All the time. I mean, it is all the time because the other, I don't know, maybe it was 6 months ago. Because I've taken the diagnostic pistol instructor course twice. Oh my gosh.
Good course.
Oh, you're in for a treat. But you pick up little things. And then the beauty of having him here in the office is I get to pick up things that aren't taught in class that he mentions and he'll teach. But I go, hold on a second, because I'm right up there. I'm right up close to him. I'm listening to him. And he does something. And I'm like, wait, do that with your hands again.
Mm-hmm.
And he teaches the tuck and roll. So when you engage your pistol at the high ready, that offhand tucks, rolls into your grip, and it formulates your grip as you're coming out to your sights on target. Well, I had my hands like perfectly lined up. I thought that's how you're doing it. He goes, no. Here's what you're doing. And I wouldn't have known that.
Because he could see it.
Because I could see it. It was a different angle.
Well, you talk about that rolling. If people will try this, it's an interesting deal. You stick your hands out like that, but if you kind of roll your hands forward, you will feel tension along the tops, and it really starts to lock
Yeah.
things in. It's a small thing, but it's an important thing.
Well, and that's the little things that we as hunters, we have to look for. And that's why I think coming back to our conversation on competition shooting is you don't see the little things unless you go and do it. Like, you don't feel the little things. And Chris always says, what did you see? What did you feel?
Mm-hmm.
He always says that. And it's not like he's doing some type of Zen master, teaching technique.
Right.
It's you've got to see that shot. You got to feel that shot. When you shoot a good shot, what do you see and what do you feel?
You mentioned something earlier, and I was thinking about this because I started doing this so long ago. We're talking, half a century ago. One of the things I think that hunters have figured out, and they understand now, is the need for a good trigger. It used to be the trigger you got was the trigger you got, and if it sucked. But then again, our hunting rifles, shot 2.5 inches, and if you complained to the factory, they'd say, "Well, what do you expect?" That's what they do, right? Because that's what they all did.
Yeah.
Well, now you'd send it back, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you talk about it on the internet.
Yeah.
But the point here is that factory triggers are better, and we have aftermarket triggers for everything.
Everything.
And people understand it, and they put them in. And if you want to be a better shot offhand, I don't know there's anything that you can do that's better than putting in a good trigger and then going out and shooting, obviously.
Time on task.
Time on task, whether it's honestly dry firing works. It's pretty good.
Yep.
And then obviously shooting works. But I don't think you could be a good shooter offhand if you have a creepy, draggy trigger.
No.
You don't know when the gun's gonna go
there's
off.
no confidence.
Right.
And you said it earlier, is that hunting is very much a big time confidence deal.
No
Because
doubt.
I've got a guy, next door neighbor, goes out, never knows, like, he can go to the range and his groups are dialed in. I mean, the gun shoots great, but he always wants a little bit more of it. It's a 1/2-inch gun.
Okay.
It's a great gun. But then he goes out in the field and he misses more than anybody I know. Like, every year it is,
Wow.
oh, I missed one, or, oh, I wounded one far back, never recovered it. All the time. Constantly. And I think it comes back to time on task confidence. And he still has, the gun is a great gun, but he still has a factory trigger in it. And I'm like, hey, if you want to get consistent, because I think his trigger breaks inconsistent, because I've shot his gun before, and it's creepy and it's inconsistent.
Yeah.
The gun shoots.
I got a tip you could pass along to him if you have him try. Not going to work for everybody in every situation, but if you're at a situation where you're not in a hurry, you can see the deer, dry fire.
Dry fire on the deer.
I'm
It's
serious.
smart. Yep.
Just crosshairs, click, click. Make sure the crosshairs aren't moving.
Yep.
Click, and okay, we'll just slide one in there, close the bolt,
Boom.
bang, done.
Yeah.
But dry
Boy, that would work
firing
good
on
on
an
kids.
animal, you're actually, because what happens, people look at the deer with the crosshair and they get nervous, they get anxious, they get, whether you call it buck fever or whatever it is, go, just sit there and do that. Just dry fire on the critter for a while. If he's not going anywhere, give yourself an advantage.
And especially if they're downrange. I mean, 200 yards. I mean,
Right.
they're not going to hear that.
Nope.
It's a twig, I
Right.
mean, it's nothing.
If that, yeah.
Yeah. That's how, my boys, I have them dry fire starting in usually early September, they start dry firing every night and, getting used to their triggers and getting used to a good sight picture. And this year, my oldest son, he shot one and he texted me, he says, Dad, I just don't think I got it. I was so nervous. And this kid never gets nervous about anything. But he was like, man, the buck fever just set in and those crosshairs were going wild. And I was like, well, what'd you do? And he goes, well, I backed the magnification off a little bit and that helped.
Smart.
And then he goes, I breathed through the shot. And he goes, on the bottom of my breath, I press and I squeeze the trigger and I go, son, that deer's dead. He goes, no, he ran off like he would. I pull up, the deer is laying. Like, he could not have herded the deer at any better spot where I drive my truck
drive up
down.
to it?
He's right there beside it. And I'm like, and he comes over and he goes, he was doing this, looking at me and, shrugging his shoulders like, I don't know. He goes, I looked for blood and I didn't find it at the feeder. And I go, well, what's at the bottom of your feet? He's standing on a pool of blood. the size of this desk,
Right.
and it's that confidence and building that discipline
Well,
on that trigger.
You had given him the tools.
Yeah.
How to pull the trigger, how to press the trigger, how to, and the knowledge to say, okay, I'm not liking how this is feeling. Back
Yes.
off. I don't have to take a shot
Yeah.
just because I'm on the deer.
Yeah.
I'm going to wait till it's better.
That's what, you know what? This is a question for you. What percentage of hunters do you think would not call themselves off of a bad shot?
95. I think 95% of the hunters would just press through, fight it through, yank, and end up yanking the trigger because it's moving. Now I have to make sure it goes up right now. As the crosshairs move across, it's perfect.
Man.
I'm going to yank that trigger because it's perfect now.
Man.
And, you got to know, was it FTW Ranch? They teach the acceptable reticle movement.
Arm. Yep.
Arm. So if the crosshairs are just moving inside of the animal, keep pressing the trigger.
Yeah.
If the crosshairs are moving off the animal, change something.
Yes.
Get closer, get a better rest, wait till
Breathe.
you're breathing better, but make it better because if the crosshairs are moving off the animal, you should not be taking that shot.
Well, you'll enjoy this story. I don't think you've heard this one. So I'm at FTW Ranch and on a Silencer Central event, and we got to shoot a deer. I've shot so many deer. Like, I don't know how many deer I've shot. A lot. And I'm sitting there. I go through like 2 days of instruction on long range, and so I'm comfortable. The gun's dialed in. I know I know this. Like, I know what's going on. Like, I have all the tools. And I kid you not, maybe I was nervous about the like big deer with the tag in its ear that he's like, do not shoot that one. But the guide's there. He's an instructor, great guy. Camera's over my shoulder, and now I'm doing it on TV. I have never experienced buck fever that bad. I had to call myself off of the shot like 3 times. I was like, what? I looked over to him and I was like, I have no idea what's going on. I don't know. Is it performance anxiety?
Yeah,
I don't know
I'm
what
a
I
mess here.
Yeah, I was a wreck, and it's all on camera. I should get that footage and to show people because it happens to everyone, but it's going, okay, hold on a second. And this wasn't a great. I mean, it was a great deer. It was like 140-inch deer, like a beautiful deer.
How far?
100 yards, Tom.
Oh, no.
Rested fire. Like, there was no reason. I should have went, okay, here it is. Bam, I'm done.
Right.
There's no reason why I should have. But no, for some odd reason, this time I was a wreck.
And it can happen to anybody, but you knew don't shoot until it looks right.
Yeah, until it looks right. But I did have a joke on the guy. So there was a deer, the tag deer, which was, I guarantee, is a 200-inch deer. Maybe that was what I was getting nervous about. Like, just don't shoot that one. So right before I was was about to shoot, the deer I was shooting was on the left, and the other deer was on the right. And I go, all right, I'm ready to shoot the one on the right. Here we go.
He goes, no.
He did. He goes, you better not. I'm going to get fired. But no, shot. Perfect shot, ran 15 yards and piled up. But man, being able to call yourself off shots is one of the most. It's an advanced. I don't want to even say it's advanced. It's a basic shooting skill used at an advanced level. Is kind of how I would put it.
Well, it comes from having confidence that you can get it back together. You want to talk for a second about old rifles and cartridges versus new?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Okay, because I mean. Well, the reason I want to talk about this is because next month, in the year 2025, the 270 Winchester turns 100 years old.
Still one of the greatest cartridges ever.
I want people to go out and pull out their ballistic calculator, all of that, and run the 270 and pick, I don't care what bullet, 130, 140, 150 grain, and compare it to the fabulous 6.5 Creedmoor. It will outperform it at every level until you get to about 500 yards.
That's what I noticed.
Well, and you took the 270 out to FTW, didn't you?
I did. Well, no, I took it out.
You took it somewhere.
I took it to a training CR2 Solutions training course
to see what it would do at long range.
I got ridiculed for that. they made fun of me nonstop, but I was like, hey, I'm putting better shots on paper than you guys. Now, you got out to 600 yards, and there's a big difference.
There is.
But
I mean, that's where the higher BC really makes a difference. But I can also say from that is 99% of the people don't need high BC bullets.
no, absolutely not.
If you're shooting something at 125 yards, you can shoot a brick.
Yeah. I mean, and you're putting, I mean, it's an inherently accurate cartridge. 270 is.
It's accurate, but it's not as inherently accurate as what we have now.
Well,
because
right.
I will tell you, I mean, as much as I like to say, well, the old cartridges are just as good. They're good enough for most things, but they're not just as good.
Right.
Because the 6.5 Creedmoor, all the Creedmoors, the PRCs, the newest family of cartridges, they have tighter tolerances for the ammo, tighter tolerances for the chambering, and they're just more accurate.
Oh,
I mean, you
are.
could take a $500 or $600 Ruger American in Creedmoor and go out and shoot half-inch groups out of the box with factory ammo all day long.
Easily. Yeah. And you're seeing that on, the NRL Hunter series that I've started to compete in a little bit. You're seeing guys bring out guns like that for the factory division, and they're doing great.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you got a good trigger,
right,
the rifle will shoot accurately.
They will. We had a 223 come through here on a Ruger American, and my goodness, I've never seen a 223 shoot like that. But so going back to old cartridges, because you are a wealth of knowledge when it comes to, are we just reinventing the wheel, just adding different tires to it?
Not really. But we are working at, we talked about we worry about the wrong things.
Right.
We are adding that last 2% of performance.
Okay.
Okay. And there are very few people who need that last 2% of performance. If you do, it is great to have it.
Right.
And honestly, it's fun. I mean, because now we can share our pictures of our groups.
Right.
And all that's fun. Is it necessary for hunting? Of course not.
No.
It really isn't. Unless you just say, I really want to shoot an elk at 1,000 yards. Well, I'm sorry.
You'll never see me in that boat.
I like Ryan Kleckner's take on this. Of course, Ryan was a very accomplished sniper.
Yes.
Special forces guy, but also teaches long-range shooting. He also loves to hunt. And he says, but I don't do long-range hunting. I said, what do you mean? I said, if anybody can do it, you can do it. You can shoot it. He says, yeah. He says, but he described it this way. He says, if my biggest risk is missing the target or the animal, I'm target shooting. If my biggest risk is spooking the animal, I'm hunting.
Yeah.
There's something to think about.
It's a little, that's the kind of thing you start a bar fight with, right?
Yeah,
start,
that is.
Start that at a hunting camp and let people just go crazy.
Just like you're just tossing a grenade in and
that's
stepping
right.
out.
It's like a buddy of mine used to say, he says, well, let you and him fight about that.
Wait, what?
What?
That's pretty good. So what's coming down the pipe? So 270, 100 years old?
100 years old next year. It was introduced in 1925.
Yeah.
Obviously, 30-06 was introduced in 06.
06, yeah.
And you can still take an 06 and kill everything you want to kill with it. Now, is it as accurate as the 300 PRC or the latest? No, generally not. But is it accurate enough? Is the question.
Probably
for most people. For most
I would say
things.
for sure, guys in the Southeast. I mean, if you start looking at these guys that are your long shot's going to be 150, 200, the 200 max.
And I've kind of arbitrarily come up with 400 yards. There's a delineation. Once you get past 400, you need more accuracy, or you need good accuracy, but you also are starting to work into that realm where you really benefit from higher BC bullets.
Yep. Yes. Yeah.
Whether it's drop or especially wind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The thing that people generally don't talk about or understand.
Or is the wind. That's hard for me to call. It really is. Like, I'm getting a little bit better with through competition. Another way it helps in hunting, but for the most part, it's tough to call, especially when you're shooting over a canyon or you're shooting
and to that
over
point,
a saddle.
If you're not sure, a high BC bullet that drifts less is going to help you.
Right.
You say, it is impossible for me to know what this wind is doing out there. I'm going to give it my best guess. And some of these choices, you're getting half the wind drift.
That's a lot.
You go from a 450 BC to a 700 BC, and you run that out at 600 yards. The drift is unbelievable how much less it is. So,
jeez, it makes a big difference. So, what cartridges, older cartridges, would you say holds up to today's cartridges? Given what you've seen, like you've been looking at the 338-06, where do you think these are going to stack up and hold their weight through the coming 5 years?
You simply can't ignore the 300 Win Mag, because
that's where my mind
tends to be very accurate. You can crank a 180 grain bullet out at 3,000 feet per second or more. It will simply do whatever you want to do. 300 Weatherby will do the same thing, but the 300 Win tends to be a little bit more accurate.
Okay.
So that's a great cartridge. 30-06 will do whatever you want it to do. There are some that people don't pay a lot of attention to anymore. 243.
Yeah.
243 is a great cartridge.
It is.
You know,
Everybody says it's a kid's cartridge, but I'm like, I love it.
Oh, yeah. No recoil to speak of. You get a 100 grain bullet zipping out there. You can kill all the deer and all the antelope and all the sheep and everything else you want to shoot. You can build a really light rifle with it. So no, that's not bad. And the 6 Creedmoor is a great cartridge, but it only really starts to shine at the longer distances.
Right.
Once again, if you're going to be shooting inside of 400, well, actually with a 243 at 400 yards, you're getting about under 1,000 foot-pounds of energy. So you're kind of running out of energy. Yeah, you are. So, but yeah, there's some terrific ones. And if you're into the goofy cartridges like I am, the 284 Win is great. I love my 257 Roberts.
Yeah.
Which there's only a handful of us who still do. And people say, well, why don't you get a 25-06? Yes, that would be better. Yes. Actually, yes, it would. And for me, it's a simple reason. Because the 257 Roberts was the first centerfire cartridge I ever fired.
That was it?
Yeah. And it was my mother's rifle, and it's sitting in this building.
It is.
You got that? And it's a gorgeous custom rifle.
Ooh.
So you go, okay.
That gun
sometimes
is beautiful.
That's reason enough. Sometimes it's that's what I used when I was a kid, and I know there are better things now, or maybe it's an old rifle that's beat up and it's scarred and everything else. You go, yeah, but it just gives me that feeling when I walk out in the woods with it.
There's a connection.
You'd have those.
And that goes back to the whole confidence thing.
Yes.
I'm telling you, there's when you're hunting, confidence is everything. Everything.
There's one other thing. Guns tend to last practically forever. And after you've been around a while, you end up with memories and touchstones built into these guns. This was my dad's rifle. This was my granddad's rifle. I did this with this. And it becomes more than this mechanical thing.
Right.
It becomes the talisman for the stories that you hand down. And I got this at Christmas when I was 12 or whatever it happens to be.
Yeah.
I think that's something that often is lost on people who are not hunters or not shooters. They just don't get that at all. But for us, it's so obvious we don't even talk about it.
No. And that's funny because you really don't. I'm trying to keep better log of this because I'm not going to be around forever. And my boy is like, I want them to like have those memories of those guns and, what deer were taken with what gun. And so when I bleach a skull and I dry it out, I bring it in and I write the story on the inside of the upper plate of the jaw with a Sharpie.
Wow.
And so now they know where the deer was taken, what date, they know the story, the backstory on it, because I'll put, it's the lost buck. They'll spur those thoughts and those memories and hey, this was what this deer was shot with. And so they'll have a record of and matching up all these memories and as a connector,
right?
For their kids.
Right. All right, I got to tell you one more story.
Yes.
My buddy Mike, who I hunt with out in Idaho.
Which, okay, I want to just say this. When Tom says, my buddy I hunt with out in Idaho, they have the best situation. They go out weeks before, maybe a month before, something like that. They set up their camp, their wall tents and everything, and they fly into hunting camp. I don't think there's a better way to do it.
No, we could take off from my backyard,
Right.
and fly to the wilderness area, and land out
This is
there.
all public hunting. This is all
yeah,
public
it's all
range,
public hunting, yeah.
But in a beautiful, straight up country.
It is vertical. It is. So Mike goes out. Mike's a very accomplished hunter, and he gets a mule deer. He said, well, it really wasn't that big, but the story is it actually turns out to be a big trophy, or a good trophy, because Mike's wife is a veterinarian, and she's with him, and she goes everywhere with him. She'll pack
Right.
out 60 pounds of elk meat.
No kidding.
Oh, yeah. And so they're looking at this deer he shot. It's a 3x4. It's nice. And there's this lump on its nose right out here. She says, man, it's like a tumor. What is that? Being a veterinarian, she wants to know.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Gets out.
Slices it open.
Slices it open. It's not a tumor.
What is it? Another antler?
It's a bullet.
No.
It's embedded into the bone, the top of the nose. And I'm talking stuck in there hard. It's still there. He's having a European mount with the back end of this bullet embedded. And I haven't measured
A
it.
headache.
I haven't, and that was from last year.
Oh, no way.
Oh, yeah, because this thing is all healed over. I'm not sure what caliber it really is, but I am going to declare it to be a
6.5
6.5.
Creedmoor.
Need more. The man bun cartridge.
Yep.
Just because
Man
it would
bun
just
gun.
tick off so many people.
Oh. Are you kidding?
Isn't that cool?
That is cool.
Yeah.
What? Why are you taking that shot?
Well, here's the question. Was it that long where you had no energy left? Was it a deflection?
Could be. I would venture more to say it was too far of a shot and he didn't
That's
have the
what
energy.
I was thinking. That's what I'm thinking too.
Doesn't have the energy.
Yeah.
That would be my
Who
guess.
knows? But we get to make up our own stories about it
Oh
too.
yeah, no kidding. You know that guy was mad. He's like, man, he was shaking his head. He probably fell.
Oh, I
guarantee
bet he
you.
did.
He probably fell. The guy's high-fiving his buddies and everything.
And while
all
he's
of a
walking
sudden,
up there, this guy's gone.
he was right here.
Yeah.
He was right here.
No blood trail.
No blood trail.
Right.
A deer over there dazed.
Now
and confused.
he's bad mouthing the bullet, the cartridge, and everything else.
Oh, that's a whole nother conversation is bullet construction.
And you know what Steve Harney has always said, and people will say, "See this bullet? It failed." And Steve says, "At what point in the death of the deer did this bullet fail?"
Right.
In other words, it killed the deer.
Right.
You have the animal, you have the bullet. Was there something else? And now we need to have two holes, but it can't be like little holes. We have to have a big hole. And it's like, really? You killed the critter. Mm-hmm. What did I say before? We worry about the wrong things.
Well, I will tell you this. We brought out a young lady for her very first hunt, which I'll detail in another podcast. She shows up and I'm like, well, what gun do you got? And, it's a Christensen Arms. And, yeah, what caliber are you shooting? 300 Win Mag. And I'm like, well, that'll do it.
Okay. Hey, if you can shoot it, more power to you.
Well, she could. She dialed in on this deer.
good.
Man, she ruined both shoulders. But the deer's dead.
But it was dead. That's it.
He gone. So, anyway, Tom, thank you so much for joining us on Gun
Always a
Talk.
pleasure.
That's the man right there. Gun Talk Radio. If you don't know, go follow Tom on Twitter. He's absolutely a gem on Twitter. He's killing it. But yeah,
Fun stuff.
Twitter's fun.
Hunting stories, man.
Hunting stories are the best. All right, Gun Talk hunters, you know the drill. Keep those muzzles pointed in a safe direction and always be on the hunt.